Are you ready? Yes! Are you ready? Oh no! Are you ready? Better luck next time. Are you ready? All right. It's showtime. Ow! Ow! It's showtime. All right. Are you ready? Oh no! It's showtime. Better luck next time. It's showtime. Are you ready? Are you ready? Power shots. Double shots. Yes. It's showtime. Oh no! It's showtime. Best of luck next time. It's showtime. Best of luck next time. It's showtime. Oh no! Are you ready? Double shot. Are you ready? Better luck next time. It's showtime. Next time. Are you ready?